Hey, everybody, welcome back to What Are You Chasing? I'm Chrystal, along with your other host, Jennifer. And today we have a special guest with us, Tom Mattox. Tom, hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here with both of you.
Thank you for coming on. Yeah, and just whatever you want to share about yourself, tell a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. I live in Portland, Oregon. I've lived here now 20 years. I just celebrated my 20th anniversary. And right now in my life, in terms of what I'm doing several things. One is I work as a volunteer with the Three Principles Global Community Group. So if anyone, watching this has seen some of the recent programs, I'm often the host and the one who's introducing the speaker. So that's really fun. That's really fun, and it gives me a chance to give back to the Three Principles community and all it's done for me. And maybe we'll get into some of that. I'm also an artist. It's one of the things that I think most people now, which just blows my mind. Most people would here in Portland would think of me as an artist, and I didn't have any training. I didn't really want to be that when I grew up, when I was a child. It's just something that happened along the way, and the journey along with that. There's so many parallels to the principles. There's so many in fact, I often say that I discovered the principles before I discovered the principles in my painting. Same thing. It's really beautiful. That's a great topic too someday. And then I also am a cat sitter. So I travel around mostly Portland, sometimes other parts of the country, and take care of their cats and sometimes dogs. So, but the main thing is I just really appreciate my life. I appreciate everything that I have and the fact that I just get to enjoy life. And then this incredible bonus in the past couple of years coming to the Three Principles community. And I've just met you two like last week. And already,
Yes,
yeah,
beautiful. And we did 3PGC. Jen and I love it.
Oh, just amazing and amazing people and amazing community. And I'm so grateful for it, for all of it, and for everybody associated with it because it, it helps me grow like every day, just yeah, just to the point where I can learn something from everything because I'm starting to be able to see the principles through all of it. And I'm just grateful.
yeah.
Yeah, I love the 3PGC. We met Tom. It's a wonderful community. There's so many opportunities for if you're not a member and you just want to poke around and look there, you can join in on stuff that's free, and I love that. And then the membership is so affordable, $12 a month, and you have so many resources from live webinars and classes to courses and just so much. It blows my mind. It's Yeah, I get on everything I can now in there. Whenever I can, I'm like, yep, I'm on that one.
Yeah. And then just the people, like what a gift. So
It really,
for me, I started getting involved and started going to things almost around the same time that the pandemic started. So, a lot of people had a lot of different experiences during the pandemic, right? My experience was opening up this new world of people, literally world all over the world.
Yeah.
People as far away from me in Portland as New Zealand and Israel, South America, even a few people in Africa and of course Europe. And I was just so blessed to feel a community, a true community of people that has grown and expanded, over the past 5 years that I've been around. And one of the things that happened that's always fun is when you get connected with a person in person. Some of us have had that opportunity, and occasionally there are a few people here in Portland that I know through the Three Principles community, and then occasionally people will travel through, or someone will connect me. So my friend Win Morgan, who I think you guys might know, who's he's a board member in the 3PGC and a long time wonderful teacher of the principles and his own unique expression of it. He connected me with someone here in Portland a couple of years ago, and we would just meet every so often and talk. And she was a little bit newer, than I was, but she had her own sort of transformative experiences. And after talking for, I guess, about a year, we were like, well, do you want to do something? Do you want to do something together? So earlier this year, we did, and I love this too. I mean, I love the Zoom stuff, but we did an in-person group, and I love groups. I mean, I love everything, but I love groups, and I love facilitating groups and being a part of that, and just seeing people in person. And what's part of what's funny about this for me is, we're equally running the groups, but she's bringing all the people because partly just because who she is, and she stays in touch with people over the course of time, and just so many different people she worked with. So we had a meeting once, and everyone went around. It's like, why are you here? And there was like 10 people, and everyone was like, well, I'm here because I love Jamie, and I used to work with Jamie, like every person. So it's great. And we actually just had our second series start last night, and we had a new group of people. And one of the things that I wanted to maybe talk a little bit about as a topic was there was someone. Well, first of all, it's just so nice to see people being receptive, like we're offering something different. We were talking a little bit about how this is like a very basic thing in the principles, how it's not the things that are happening that you see happening out in the world that are causing you to suffer. It's the thoughts you're having about it. And we were talking about that a little bit, and one person, I could see the light bulb go off. And it's really beautiful when you see the light bulb going off. And she said something similar to that she realized something about her thoughts. And she got kind of quiet. And then I asked her, I said, well, is this a new idea for you? And she was like, yes. Which
Wow.
I thought is just so I'm so grateful. Like, I feel like, hey, you've already won. You
Yeah.
know, I sometimes call this, with talking with other people, getting them in the ballpark. And I feel like once people are in the ballpark, they are good to go. And if you take the metaphor of the ballpark, because I like sports and I've been in a lot of different ballparks, you can be way up in the seats,
Mhm.
where you're basically watching the game on the TV, the giant TV screen, because you're so far away. Or you could be like in one of the fancy boxes, which I've never had the opportunity to do. Or you could be like in the front row, which, sometimes I've had the opportunity to do that. But you're all in the ballpark. And once you're there, you find your way. So I was kind of curious how that resonates for either of you or both of you.
I love that. I love that because, yeah, it's just sparking an interest, right? Getting him to look in that direction. And then, even with resistance and trying to poke it apart, if you just keep looking in the direction, you're bound to see something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I love about what you said about being in the ballpark? What resonated and what I heard there was it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter if you're in the cheap seats. It doesn't matter if you're in the luxury box. It doesn't matter if you're right there in the front row. It doesn't even matter if you're the star player on the field.
Right, right.
We're all in the same place.
Yeah.
It, there's no judgment there. We're all enjoying the same game. We're all enjoying the same experience in our own different ways, but still the same experience. And that's what I like. That's what I heard there was it didn't matter. It didn't matter what view you, where your perspective was, what level you were at. If you're brand new, your first game, or like I said, you're one of the pros on the field. That, yeah, that was beautiful. I like that.
Oh, thanks. And for those of us who, and maybe there are some people on this call too, for those of us who either talk to people individually or do groups or just being in their lives with, right? When you go back to that metaphor of the ballpark, we're kind of like the people who are outside and they're like, where's the ballpark? I can't find it. I don't know what it looks like. And we're like, it's right here. And you've kind of done your job. Once they get in the ballpark, you've done your job. Now you can go and sit with them and have conversations with them. But I love that simplicity of what we're doing is we're sharing from our hearts and our experience, and we're pointing. And it's not up to us whether they follow or they can see it. Another fun metaphor that I have or image when it comes to talking to people and helping them. I don't know if either of you maybe have been in this kind of situation where maybe you're out for a hike or you're out someplace nice with friends, like in what we call nature, right? The desert, the mountains, whatever. And let's just say there's 4 people and they're just having a nice time walking around. And all of a sudden, one person stops and says, "Oh my God, look, an eagle," or something, some amazing creature. The eagle. And everyone's like, turns and like, "Where?" And then the second person goes, "Oh yeah, I see it." And then the third person's like, "No, I don't see it. Where is it?" And they're like, "Well, do you see that one tree there that's next to that mountain? And on that other," and the third person's like, "Oh yeah, now I see it." And then the fourth person, who's usually me in this situation, like, "I don't see it. Where is it?" But there's not that much more you can do except point. And
Yeah.
and fortunately, most times, I mean, this has happened to me several times, which is why it's so alive to me. Eventually, I think I do see it, but again, it just goes back to that. All we can do is point, and it's just kind of out of our hands beyond that.
I
Yeah.
love, yeah, I love it. It's so relatable. It's so relatable to anybody because as you're saying that, I'm like, you know what? Like, how many times have I been there in my life too? Whether I'm the one pointing or other people are pointing and I'm the one saying, what, where? I'm looking where you're telling me and I don't see it. I
I
don't,
know.
Right,
are you sure?
right,
Pretty sure I've done that in the last week.
really. And if you're the one who first sees it and is doing the pointing, maybe I've been in this situation too. You can get very frustrated that other people aren't
Yeah.
watching and lose the joy of it, but you can also kind of come back to yourself and not go there. So I think sometimes, like as coaches and teachers and sharers, it's nice to just know it's out of our hands, so we don't get too frustrated. We just hope they see it. So we're in a nice feeling as we're pointing.
Right. And when we're in a nice feeling and we're talking to someone, the way we point changes and molds for them, I think.
Ah,
I feel I had an experience just in the last few days where I was with someone important who was struggling, but all of a sudden I seen what I struggled with when it was first trying to come to a quiet mind. So, it was the neatest thing because I just asked if I could share something. And she said yes. And I just shared that. And I don't know where that came from. Like it just kind of poured out of me. But in that pointing of it's hard to get quiet and to be still with yourself, when you believe that your thoughts are who you are, especially when you have contradicting, confusing, frustrating thoughts. It's hard to face that because you don't, if you identify with them, but you don't like them, it's a scary thing. But yeah, when we listen, like really listen with people and are open, I feel like our arrow molds to the person we're talking to if we allow it to. That wisdom kind of gives us the right colors and the right design to help them see.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And something about the way you just shared that really touched me. And like that's how easy it can be. Because sometimes, like in this world, and it's called the three principles, and then you feel like, oh, I got to explain what the three principles are and who Sydney Banks was. But it's like, well, can I just share something with you? In that really beautiful way you just said that. I love that.
Thank you.
It was beautiful, Jen. It really was.
Well, and with the thinking like that, when we believe we are our thinking, that's where we add more thinking, right? Even when we start to understand like the three principles, and then we get caught up in our own thinking, instead of dropping it, we create more thinking of, well, I know better. Why am I still doing, we beat ourselves up
Yes.
and judge ourselves and condemn ourselves, not realizing we're just repeating the cycle. That all
Yes.
those thoughts, they're only there because we're allowing them, we're believing them to be true. And like, yeah.
That's brilliant. And what you just said also points to what we talked about earlier before the call and what I experienced last night. So, people have all different kinds of reactions or insights or understandings when we share, right? And sometimes it's new for people, it's newer. And then you can see, like we do, and we have done, trying to figure it out, trying to get it down. And so in the group last night, there was a person who, after a while said, you know, what I would like something about sort of managing their feelings, right? And what occurred to me in that was something that I've started to hear with other people. And this is what I started hearing about a year ago with people, which was almost universally when people are struggling over something in their lives or with their internal world, if that's the case, if there's like a feeling of struggling, one thing that is almost always going on is they're giving themselves a hard time and they don't necessarily see it. I remember the first time I shared that with somebody who was telling me about something going on, and then there was some quiet. And then in the past, and this is something that's really changed for me, I try to start problem solving with them. Well, have you thought about this? And what about this? And tell me more about this thing that went wrong. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that was my orientation. I got a little quiet and I said, well, do you feel like you're giving yourself a hard time in all this? Right? And there's quiet and dropping down and because I don't know anything that works better when you give yourself a hard time. So again, last night this came up. I could respond even from like a principal's point of view to what they were asking. But what I ended up saying is like, even sometimes with the things that we struggle with, it's helpful not to even try to go at it head on. You do something out on the periphery, which is, oh, or are you giving yourself a hard time? And maybe you can give yourself a break. And we all know what it feels like to give somebody a break, right? We've all, at least once in our lives, given somebody a break, right? So we know the feeling of that. so we can do that for ourselves. And so in a way, it doesn't matter if they're thinking about the principles or understanding the principles per se in that situation. It's like, can you give yourself a break? Like I always tell people who are new to the principles, take everything, take everything that people tell you lightly. Hold it lightly. Especially anything that I say. Hold it lightly and be gentle with yourself.
I like that.
I like it. Sometimes it's hard for me though, because mine is upon reflection for me, honestly. When I came to the principles, well, I didn't even know I was coming to the principles. Like I had no idea. I was just gonna be a life coach, okay? I was just gonna have this. I didn't like my job, and I was gonna be a life coach. I didn't know it had anything to do with any kind of principles, none of that. Nobody told me. There wasn't, I was just the same teacher that I had taken NLP from. And so, like, everything happened for me in a split second. That, like, bam. And it was only upon reflection and then living from there. Like, I didn't have a hard time with a quiet mind, which was something I was talking to Jen about the other day, because for me, it was never hard. My mind went quiet, and it was all of a sudden, I wasn't afraid of it. And I told her, I said, I think sometimes in this, that people get afraid of the quiet, to term a quiet mind, because sometimes we view quiet as, look, it gets attached to like scary movies, like the eerie quiet
Right.
and stuff like that. And people think quiet and they think darkness too, like in the dark. And I told Jen, I said, I don't know why, but the other day came to me that there's nothing to be afraid of with a quiet mind. For me, I never saw that because mine was full of light. And in light, there are no monsters. It's just pure light in that quiet, in that calm, in that space. And so sometimes mine's reflection, I have to reflect on, okay, like didn't have the different levels of calming down. It just went just like that. And so sometimes I love having Jen to talk to, because it's like we get to share two different journeys of the same thing. And it's awesome because we're always, and with community and in teaching groups, and even people who are new, we're always learning, so to speak, from others, and the beauty and the wisdom that comes out of other people's mouths too. And they don't even realize it sometimes. Like we were just doing a group of ours the other day, and in the beginning of the call, one of our friends was just talking about how she didn't have the confidence, and she didn't have this, and she wasn't sure of herself as far as coaching people and all of this stuff. And at the end of the call, she was literally spewing the most beautiful wisdom I'd ever heard to another one of our peers on the call. And I was sitting there the whole time just like, I wonder if she even knows what she's doing right now, if she's listening to herself at all. At one point she said, I know I'm really good at giving advice and not taking my own. But it was beautiful, and that's what I love about it. It's such a different journey for everybody, and then we get to share.
Yeah.
Well, I love this, and I love, like you were saying, Tom, the groups. I like doing groups,
Yeah.
like the class that Chrystal and I run is like a live group where, we all check in, we all, then we kind of go over certain stuff, and then we all just because I love getting to talk to people and see what lands. And then when it doesn't land and they get to come with the problem, to be able to help them see how the principles are already at play, how just changing their understanding can change their outcomes. And
Wow.
it's fun.
Wow. Yeah, I'm so glad you two are doing that work. So great. So speaking of a quiet mind, and what happened to you, Chrystal, my feeling, the way I see it now, is, okay, you ready? This might sound a little different. The mind is always quiet. It's already quiet. There's stuff going through. This might be kind of trippy. There is stuff that looks noisy that is going through a quiet mind. Naturally quiet. And what happens to us is, I feel, as we go through our lives and the flow of our thought, it naturally settles down without doing anything at times. And it reveals a quietness that's not just naturally there. So there's nothing people need to, because I think this is something people may feel they trip over too and give themselves a hard time about, right? I
Yeah.
can't get a quiet mind. That's giving yourself a hard time, you know? And the fact that if people can consider that it is actually quiet, spacious, neutral, like the metaphor of a screen, right? A projection screen, whether it's on your phone or here or a big screen. The screen's always kind of empty. It is what it is. And then there's something projected on it. And it can be like the most peaceful, fun, or it could be like a horror show. But it's all happening within, so everything's happening within a quiet space. And one of the things I try to share with people when we're in these groups and we're going to meet again, I just say something like, just notice, or actually get into more like, I predict, like you're going to start seeing more and more, just your mind naturally quiet down without doing anything. Like, just if you just notice that, and I'm predicting that they will, you know, um, and appreciate it, I feel it just naturally orients our consciousness to that. So it really is effortless. All you have to do is you notice it. Maybe you take 2 seconds to appreciate it, or just like, oh wow, nice. And then if you're like me, your mind jumps right back on the thought train, right? Or not, but usually that eventually that happens too. But your consciousness mind, whatever you call it, naturally wakes up. It's been happening all our lives. It's been happening all our lives. We've been waking up to this. We haven't known what it was, or we've missed it, or discounted it, or forgot it. So nothing new has to really happen, except maybe you recognize it, you understand what's going on, and then you just enjoy it. Like I'm offered like the path of enjoyment, right?
Yes.
And as I feel like, especially in our what we call our internal world, if we really pay attention to the things we enjoy and enjoy them, our minds give us more. So my favorite, maybe you've heard this, my favorite metaphor for this recently is like Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, where they have the reels that just
Mm-hmm.
come through. Now, either in the beginning they know what you might be interested in, or they learn over time what you're interested in. So when I first started looking at the reels on Instagram, I was like, "Oh, what's this? I haven't seen this before." I was just like posting photographs, okay, and so when I first started checking out the reels, guess what? There was art and cats. That was what I was looking at, right? But then every so often, and this is just like our minds, wherever every so often it'll just throw something random in. Oh, I wonder if Tom's going to like this, or not. Maybe like, because in social media they want to capture you. Maybe he's interested in this. So I'm looking at cats, I'm looking at abstract art and other artists, and then all of a sudden there's a video of this massive flood somewhere in the world, like knocking out bridges and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, and I innocently, or just, I look at it, and then guess what happens? I'm getting I'm getting art, cats, and disasters. And the only thing you can do about it is and it's so interesting because even without knowing what they were doing or how it works, I just knew, okay, when the disaster thing comes up, or it could be anything, disaster is just one thing. If I swipe by it, and then this was the thing, when I get the art of the kitties, don't swipe right away, just linger there a little bit. And then the whole thing writes itself, you know? And now I've been on that so long. I mean, I get all kinds of stuff, and and there's nothing wrong with it. I get caught up in little things, but then I get more and more, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want this. So the key is to linger a little bit, and with those platforms, that can just be 1 or 2 seconds. And I was like, oh my god, I think that's how our minds work too.
Yeah.
Like universal intelligence has everything, an infinite number of things. And sometimes I feel like what we call universal mind or God is like actually like a mad scientist. Like we often say that the wisdom of the universe knows everything, right? We've probably heard that before, even in the three
Mhm.
principles. My feeling is there's a little different take on that. You ready?
Yeah.
I don't think it knows everything, but it wants to know. So it kind of uses us and goes, oh, I wonder if I throw a little wrench in Tom's plans, what I'll do, just internally, or I wonder what he likes. I wonder what he's interested in. So it throws random stuff, and if I take the bait, it's like, oh, Tom likes that. Okay, I'm going to give him more. So it's kind of a fun thing, and there's this saying that you hear a lot in the spiritual world, where there's different variations on it, but it has to do with like taking a leap in your life, right? Taking a leap, and there are like posters and memes all over, right? And it'll be something like, take the leap, and the net will appear. Have you heard that one? Maybe, take the leap, and on the way down you'll develop wings. But I think universal source is kind of like, hey Tom, take a leap and tell me what happens. I want to know what happens when you take the leap. And it's like, you might grow wings, you might fly, you might float, you might crash and burn. And universal mind's like, interesting.
Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah. When I first came to the principles and saw it differently for months and months afterwards, I really like to say mind has a sense of humor. It really does. Because, like, kind of like you're saying, but this is the way I pictured it. It was like, let's throw this little pop quiz at Chrystal today and see what happens.
Yeah.
Is she going to react? Is she not going to react? What's she going to do? What's she going to do with this information? Does she like it? Does she not like it? Is she going to be joyful? Is it going to take her down? What's going to happen? And I would just kind of laugh at it a lot of the times and just say, oh, my mind has such a sense of humor. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. I love the little games it throws at you. Here's a little curveball this way, back with the sports metaphor.
Yep.
What are you going to do? How's Chrystal going to handle that one? So yeah, absolutely.
Love that. Love that.
Absolutely.
And it's good for us to have a sense of humor about
Yes,
it,
Yes.
which I actually do.
absolutely. And yeah, I feel it. Sometimes I feel like I'm getting given opportunities to test my faith. Am I going to
Yeah.
pick this up and worry and stress and spin and whatever, or am I going to drop all of that thinking and step into the next, open and ready for whatever may come my way? It's, yeah,
Yeah.
so many
Yes.
tests, so many little, and at so many different levels. like at the first levels, and I loved what you were saying earlier, Tom, about noticing instead of trying to figure it out. Because I spent so much time trying to figure out how to drop the thought. Like my thinking slowed down, but all of my thinking was about how to not think.
Yes.
And the in that noticing, but then as you start to notice, it's like those pesky little thoughts about not thinking show up without you really realizing it. Or you'll be in the moment and then you get that little, I would get this little narrator that would be like, the bird is chirping.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. And to me, it's also helpful. Like, I actually don't care anymore what I think. I really don't. I don't care. Not, yeah, Chrystal, tell me more.
Yes. I say it all the time. A lot of times in our groups that we facilitate, and and I tell people, I'm like, here's the thing. I know this sounds really weird to you guys, but I don't care. I'm not saying that as in I don't care and I'm not compassionate. I'm saying I don't care. And then it dawned on me, maybe I should go, I'm carefree. But then you know what? I don't care. Because if you don't understand that, I don't, I so resonate with that because I say it all the time, and it's not in a way of, oh, I have no compassion or empathy or anything like that. And it's like, I'm not going to take this thought seriously, and I'm not taking this one seriously. I really don't care. And you know what? I've said before too, if I'm going to be in a little bit of a frustration, I don't care. If I'm going to
Yep.
be sad, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to stay there, because when I care too much about where I'm at, that's where I start getting caught up. That's where you start to stumble. That's where the stories are like, oh, okay, she cares. So now I'm going to go ahead and add some more of those sad thoughts. Here's a little bit of anger to throw in there and whatever. And when I don't care, and literally I'll just be like, oh, weird thought, funny. And
Exactly.
here it goes.
Oh my gosh. You know what? This was so interesting for me. So earlier in the year, for a couple of months, I was working with someone who had a anxiety support group. I've heard of panic attacks. I've known some people right? And I've known some people. So I sort of knew what that is, at least I can imagine it. Maybe I think I maybe had one in my life that was similar to what people describe. But then I started hearing all these other terms I have never heard of. There's this whole body of terminology in anxiety that people have been given. But one of the ones that really kind of was shocking in a kind of in a good way, but it's like, people would start talking about they're having intrusive thoughts. So it's not like I never heard that term before, but I never really paid much attention to it. But this was very common in this group, talking about intrusive thoughts. And then I was kind of listening, well, what do you mean by an intrusive thought? And they would say things like, you know, I'm driving, and people do this, and I'm definitely not making light of it. So, but they're driving and they feel like they're just going to drive off the cliff. They have that thought, or there are other thoughts, and then all of a sudden, when I heard more and more, it's like, oh, I have those all the time. I have those all the time. Especially on a plane. You visualize, some people visualize like the plane crashing or something going wrong, or just, I don't know, but it was kind of like, for me, it's like, oh, but I didn't know that it was a thing. I didn't know that it was a thing to worry about. I think everybody has intrusive thoughts, what is called intrusive thoughts, which is just imagining something really bad, because that's what our imaginations can do, anything. And so, going back to the not caring, Like, I don't care that and it's so funny because I saw this long before the principles. I would just be sitting somewhere and I have this awful thought. And it's like, oh, okay, like whatever, drink my tea or whatever. So, one of the things we talked about yesterday in the group was the fact that all thoughts are harmless in the moment, like having the thought, totally harmless. It's not going to hurt you in the least bit. They can be scary as all, you know, but they're not hurting you. And so that's another way of saying it. So is if you're going through your day and your experience of life and you're having what we call intrusive thoughts, anxious thoughts, a busy mind, okay? But you also can have the feeling, oh, yeah, but I'm safe in this experience. That is like, I'm getting chills. Like, that's a gift. Like, if I could just give that to people, like I say it, but we're safe. We're totally safe within every experience that we're having. And if people can get in the ballpark on that one,
Yeah.
that will change their lives. And they don't need to know anything else about the principles, like that. There are little things that just that alone can end their suffering and, or see that, as I like to say it, the suffering we have ends itself. It has no staying power in the moment, right?
Right.
Because once we start seeing it, it kind of just falls away on its own. And when they do come back up, we don't care. I thought that all of my thoughts were me. So when I had those thoughts that I didn't like myself. And then I was battling with myself all the time, trying to battle these thoughts. And then, it was ridiculous, and it was a struggle, and it was super highs and super lows, and a roller coaster that wasn't very fun most of the time. When it was fun, that ended up in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Wow.
once I started seeing, but just that it was all thought in the moment and that I was safe,
Yeah.
then I stopped believing that. Once I started realizing that I wasn't the thoughts themselves, but where the thoughts came through, the space in which they arrived,
Mm-hmm.
then I didn't have to hate myself because those thoughts weren't me.
Wow. That's beautiful. I'm so happy for you.
It was
Thank
so
you.
beautiful.
Yeah. Do you know another thing that sort of happened a couple years ago? Because like we keep learning, like we keep seeing new things. Like I'm seeing new things all the time. But one of the things that really helped me in this was the fact that like when I heard the term before the principles, I was in some other groups, spiritual groups and philosophies, right? And some of them were from the East or based on things from the East. So the term end of suffering, I think, is something that is big in Buddhism. And what I thought was the end of suffering meant I would never suffer again. But that's not the way it worked out. But the suffering in the moment ends. And it's already ending for everyone, but you don't see it. So if I were to take a look at my life in a reflective moment, I can look back and I can just see suffering. The fact that it was so regular means it hasn't ended, and I'm waiting for it to end. But what I was missing was each episode of suffering ended. And then again, it's like we were talking earlier, it's like, well, maybe it's always going to be this way. I don't care. Like, I don't need suffering to be over once and for all. And this is where I call coming in second place. to use another sports metaphor, which was thinking that I was going to find something where I would never suffer again. Truly, the end of suffering, too. Well, every episode of suffering ends on its own, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So if people, that's one thing that can maybe, I've heard, might trip people up a little bit, especially like in the principles world, because they begin to have insights and begin to see things. And then again, it comes back to this giving yourself a hard time. It's like, well, I saw all this stuff. Why am I still having a hard time with something? And the way I saw it was really interesting was because I love stories too, because I think stories bring it to life. But this was a couple of years after I had my experience with the principles, and I really felt like I was flying high. And then there was one day I was taking care of this beautiful new dog who was a puppy. And I don't have a lot of experience with puppies, right? Or with, dogs who aren't like very like chill. And this dog was just very, very energetic. And it did not want to leave me alone the entire time. And they had this little fence in the apartment, one of these flexible things that could move to kind of pen the dog in a little bit. But then, she learned how to move it. Right? And at night, and when I went out, and its quiet place was in its kennel with a big blanket over it. So I was used to that and spent a lot of time in that. But over the course of it, like after a day or two, it's like, oh wow, I got to get out of here. Because this is just no fun, and the dog won't leave me alone, and there's only so much you can do with treats and whatever. So I ended up like going out a lot, which meant I put the dog in its pen a lot. And so I was imagining like I was a bad person because like like the dog was spending a lot of time. I wasn't home a whole lot. I'm like, oh, this poor dog is in kennel and I don't know what else to do. And so I would go out and it was a beautiful sunny day, summer sunny day in Portland. And I even thought in the moment, it's like, okay, Tom, it's not happening right now. Right? Present moment, it's not happening right now. I knew that. It's a beautiful day. You could be enjoying the beautiful day. Maybe you can see I was giving myself a hard time. It's like, but I got reflective over it too. And it's like, wow, this is interesting. This is like the first thing that I've come across where it seems really sticky. And then this voice said to me, it was kind of like, so what if it's sticky? It doesn't mean anything that you can't come back to yourself. It doesn't mean anything that you can't sort of put aside something that's not even happening right now. It doesn't mean anything that you can't enjoy this beautiful day because you're thinking about it. And then all of a sudden, it was almost like, how I was saying earlier, if you're trying to solve something, but then you go off to the periphery.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, the periphery was, yeah, it doesn't mean anything that you're having a hard time about this. And then guess what happened? That that lightened my mood in that moment. That made me, the problem never ever actually got solved. I was only with this dog for a few days. Because when I went back, it was the same thing, and I still like went out a lot, and I felt bad. But then later, my friends who had the dog, they were Tom. This was not a big deal at all. We do that too sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
So for people, maybe this is specifically for people who've seen a little bit, or all of us really, who've seen something and then get into a space where it's like, why isn't this working? Or I just like fell down in like a really big way, and that shouldn't be happening anymore. So it's like not giving yourself a hard time, which is the way would say it now, or just not caring.
Yeah.
Not caring that I feel lost, which is so liberating.
Mm-hmm.
It's so liberating.
Sometimes it's nice to be new because you're allotted a lot of mistakes when you're new.
Yeah.
Just when you're brand new to a job, you got a training period, you got You're allowed to not know everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes it feels really freeing to be new.
Yeah. And we are, in so many ways, but in the principles, we're all new.
Yeah.
Like I feel that very strongly. Like I'm a beginner, I'm new. And it's interesting because maybe someday we'll talk about art and painting.
Yeah.
It's the same way. Like my painting is brilliant. And it's like, I don't really know anything. I don't know anything about color theory except a little bit. I don't know anything about anything. I just am new.
Yeah.
And that's where the joy is in being new. And there aren't in that world of painting, there's never a mistake. There's not, no, it doesn't even exist. There's no such thing as mistake in my painting. It does not exist.
I love
And I'm seeing more and more of that in my life. But since I'm so new, I only see it a little bit.
And that's okay
Yeah.
because we're new. You don't have to know it all.
We'll never know it all.
Exactly. We'll never not be new.
Right.
I mean, I've heard Dick and Bettinger and the Pranskys and all of them say how they still feel like they're new. And they've been doing it for decades.
Yeah.
That's one of the cool things about the principles. So, too, is no matter how much you learn, there's still so much more. And you'll always be new. And when we can come in with that openness, like we're new, we hear things that we didn't hear before.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
It's beautiful. I didn't feel like I talked very much, but I'm really loving just, I gotta say, I do want to say one thing, Tom, I really love, and this is a while back in the conversation now. I really love how you came at a quiet mind in a different way, as the way it should be, is what I heard when you're saying. It really resonated with me. That is what we have. We have a quiet mind. That's like our natural default. It really is the way we are. And then the thoughts and the noise and the stories and all that, well, that comes in after. And so I've never looked at it that way. I've always looked at it the other way. Like, oh, my mind was really busy and then it wasn't. Instead of the other way around. I think that's really cool. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. The other thing that came up in this group that I was talking about is where this was another spontaneous insight for me was like, where do you, when you reflect on what's going on, where do you land in your thinking? So many people came with, I had a panic attack last week and I kind of got through it. Now I'm here and now I'm scared I'm going to have one in the future. And that's where they land. And where I'm inviting them to land is, okay, you had your panic attack. Yeah, you might have one in the future, but you got through it and it ended. Like it always ends. Panic attacks always start and end. They don't, well, I don't know, but, and any bad experience internally that we have, it comes to an end. And then, yeah, a new one might come. But if we reflect on it and we just know where to land in our thinking about it, so it's not like I felt better than I felt worse. It's actually the way it works is you felt worse, then you felt better. And that's the end of that story. And that's the end of every story that's coming in the future. And it's the same thing happening, but it's a totally different way to look at it. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
it really landed. It was beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Like, I've really enjoyed having you. I enjoy talking with you.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely.
I feel really blessed to have like met both of you and to get to now spend some time with you. It's really a gift for me.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. And I have to agree with Jen. This conversation has been just beautiful and insightful and just, oh, I got goosebumps, just so peaceful and just perfect in its own way. Perfect.
Yeah.
So I just thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so blessed to have met you, to met my BFF Jen.
Yes. I'm so grateful to be here. I have a question for you, Tom. If anybody wanted to reach out to you or get a hold of you, anybody that watches, how would they do that?
Oh, sure. Well, Instagram is probably the main way. So
Okay.
it's just my name at Tom.Mattox. And mostly what you'll see are little videos, and like I take a picture of like a painting or a process every day and just put it out there. So it's full of that mostly, but you can message me there. And then I have a website that I don't really pay much attention to, but it's just my name.com. So you can contact me through there if you're not on Instagram.
Awesome.
But yeah, and I would love to hear from anyone who's just curious, wants to share something, have a question. I love when people reach out. So
Perfect.
Thank you.
yeah.
Oh, all right. So thank everybody for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Let us know if there's anything we can help with. Reach out, leave messages. Um, we're all here for anybody.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Everybody.
Bye.